He's Batman. I know that chin. What do I do? Do I tell him I know? Clark silently panicked with excitement as these thoughts rushed through his head. Lois and him were sitting at a round table with Bruce. They had ordered their first course and were patiently waiting. So Mr. Wayne, about this partnership Lois started, I guess she decided to interview him after all. The partnership? I forgot about that. Wait, why would Brew Batman partnership with LexCorp? How did that make sense? Clark thought. He started to doubt Bruce Wayne being Batman now. I mean, Batman knows the dangers of Lex Luthor. Why would Batman do that? Right, Clark? Lois kicked Clark's ankle under the table, snapping him out of his thoughts. Yes, Clark said uncertainly. He had no idea what Lois just said, and crossed his fingers he didn't just agree to something ridiculous. Decrease communication with alien planets. I'm surprised, Mr. Kent. I thought you'd be all about uniting sister planets. Bruce's eyes gleamed with the satisfaction of making Clark uncomfortable. Well, yes, of course, but... Here are your meals, gentlemen and lady. A waitress was holding their meals in her hands, accompanied by a waiter holding side dishes. Why, thank you. Clark eagerly tried to change the subject, and dug into his meal. Bruce spread a slight frown on his face as if angry that the conversation was changed. Clark tried not to talk to Lois or Bruce, he just let them babble on and exchange questions while he poked at his food. Clark dared to look up from his plate and met eyes with Bruce, before imminently looking back down. Okay, so this guy obviously knows important information about me. He knows I'm not human, I guess, but does he know I'm Superman? Clark worriedly sifted through these thoughts while trying to look friendly and eat his meal. That first course was exceptional. Bruce wiped his face with a serviette and taking a sip of his wine. First course? I forgot this was 3-course dinner. How exiting. Lois shifted in her chair, obviously trying to hold in her excitement about the fancy restaurant. Clark just nodded his head. Again he made eye contact with Bruce. Bruce's hand was pulling something out of his trouser pocket. Clark X-ray visioned through the table to see what it was, a lead box. This made him suspicious of what was in it. A normal person wouldn't just carry around a lead box with cigarettes in it or something. Clark tried to change his train of thought when he felt a pain in his chest, an unbelievably horrible pain that spread throughout his body. Clark knew this pain. Kryptonite. Clark grabbed his chest and let out a small grunt, trying to play it cool and keep his cover. Clark, are you alright? What was in that food? Lois put her hand on his shoulder, only for Clark to push it off. I'll be back. He got out of his chair and stiffly to the bathroom, trying not to faint. The further away he got from the dinner table, the better he felt, and the pain eventually went away. The bathrooms were empty to Clark's delight. He got to the sink and washed his face, dabbling water on it. Hello, Clark, or should I say Superman? Bruce walked into the bathroom and over to Clark, placing a hand on his shoulder. Superman? You're funny. Clark let out a slight chuckle. Don't play dumb with me. Bruce reached to his pocket, pulling out the lead box. He lifted the lid and a familiar green glow leaked out of the box. Clark fell to the ground on his knees, holding his chest. Bruce smirked, then shut the box and put it away. It took a moment for Clark to catch his breath and slowly stood up. You know that stuff can kill me, Bruce Wayne, or should I say Batman? Clark grinned, quite pleased with his comeback. Bruce, however, didn't look surprised or even threatened. I long suspected you were the news reporter Clark Kent due to your rather cocky articles about Superman and your flawless disguise. I just needed to check. Sorry if I hurt you. I was wondering how long it would take for you to figure out who I am. Anyway, Lois will be waiting. Bruce spun on his heels and briskly walked towards the exit. Are you coming, Mr. Kent? Right behind you, Mr. Wayne. Clark walked up beside Bruce and whispered in his ear. I trust you with my identity, you can trust me with yours. Bruce whispered back, I don't trust anyone. You sound like Batman, Mr. Wayne. Don't push it, alien. Remember, I've got a box of your doom in my pocket. Bruce flashed Clark a look in the corners of his eyes with a smug look on his face. Goodbye. I hope I've answered all your questions. It was a delight meeting you both. Bruce played his whole gentleman act, kissing Lois's hand and shaking Clark's. "Thank you for treating us both to this dinner." Lois hadn't stopped smiling the whole night. Either the rich attractive man or the fancy high-class restaurant, could be both. Yes. Great to make your acquaintance. Clark shook Bruce's hand a second time. It was strange now that Clark knew who Bruce was, and awkward when he had to pretend he didn't know him. "Well, I must leave now. Thank you for joining me tonight, Ms. Lane and Mr. Kent." Bruce strode away from the two with his security guards following behind. His driver opened the car door for Bruce to step inside. As the limousine drove away, one thought kept creeping through his mind. He could have killed me. The meeting. Barry stopped super speeding in the watchtower. Clark lifted himself off Barry in a tangle of limbs. "Hey, if you can fly, I can run," Barry accused Clark. "Well, hey, if you ran into someone who wasn't invulnerable, you could have seriously hurt someone." "You've got a point, damn you and your always right morals." Yeah. Anyway, I'll see you at the meeting later on Superman." "Yeah." Barry walked away. You could tell he was resisting the urge to run, but he stuck by his word. Clark turned to look out the watchtower's windows, surrounded by gray walls. As he looked at the stars, he appreciated the pure beauty of the earth and what's beyond, just him and the Milky Way. "Oh, let me guess, you're feeling homesick and you feel singled out in human society." Diana walked up from behind and over to Clark standing beside him. "No, it's just space is pretty." "Right. Look, I don't just always think about Krypton. You sure complain about it a lot. Like how you always complain about men?" "Don't make me get Batman's kryptonite." She gave a playful smirk and a nudge in his arm. "Are you coming to the meeting?" "Not like I have a choice," she said, adjusting her bracelets. "Do those chafe?" "No. Hard to sleep with though. Anyway, I'm gonna start heading up for the Justice League meeting." She stepped away from Clark, heading down the hall. Clark followed behind. The two walked into the hall, taking a seat at the oval-shaped table. Batman and Martian Manhunter already waiting. "Took you long enough." Bruce narrowed his eyes, eyeing the two. "Better than Barry." Diana folded her arms, returning Batman's glare. "Speak of the devil," Barry came rushing in, almost tripping on the table. "Hey, what did I say to you earlier?" Clark stated as Barry took a seat next to him. There were many seats left and the five of them looked at each other, wondering where everyone was. "Is this all?" Clark looked at the remaining seats. "Everyone else is busy on missions," John replied. "Well, let's get started then." Clark stood up from his chair and addressed the League members. Just quickly, I'd like to tell you who I am." "You're Superman, we know," Barry implied. "No, I mean, I'm Clark Kent." "Yes." Wonder Woman jumped out of her chair. "Damn it." Barry sighed as he pulled out $20 and handed it to her. "Who's that?" John looked confused. "News reporter for the Daily Planet in Metropolis." Batman answered. "Well, I'm Diana Prince. God of War, daughter of Zeus and Hippolyta, princess of the Amazons, but you already knew that." "I'm Barry Allen, again you knew that." "I am John Jones." Everyone turned to Batman, expecting him to confess his identity, only for him to stay silent. He looked at everyone, eyeing them off, giving them each an individual glare. Clark assumed Bruce wasn't going to tell anyone and almost started talking until Bruce pulled off his bat mask. "Bruce Wayne." "Oh? That's why everything here is branded by Wayne Tech." Barry's face had a look of realization. "Okay, now let's get started then." "Hold on. If you're Bruce Wayne, how come your business recently made a partnership with LexCorp?" Diana folded her arms, narrowing her eyes at Bruce, waiting for his response. "I was wondering that too," Clark admitted. "Well, if I could become business partners with Lex Luthor, risking my secret identity, I've become friendly acquaintances with the man. By investing in his projects, I can find out additional information plus upcoming projects." Bruce finished and sunk back into his chair. Well, maybe you should tell us about these things first. Lex could not only endanger the Justice League, but more specifically Superman. He can take care of himself, you know. Bruce pointed a finger to Clark, still keeping his eyes fixed on Diana. Yes, we all can, thank you for stating the obvious, Mr. Wayne. The point is we should look out for each other. You don't think I took into consideration the dangers of this? By the looks of things, no you didn't. The remaining three of the group just didn't want to intervene with the argument, so they just sat there, enjoying the show. You obviously don't care about Clark at all. Batman hastily stood up out of his chair, firing back at Diana. I care about Clark more than any of you. He stayed there standing up for a few moments before slinking back into his chair. Batman had always been the one who kept their emotions in check, not showing joy, not showing sadness, not showing anger, always being distant and cold. Everyone in the room had shut up past this point, giving each other looks and blankly staring at Batman. Batman pounced up once again and headed for the door. Meeting's over. Before anyone could say anything, he slunk out of the hall. That went well. Barry followed Bruce's actions, walking out of the door. Men? Diana stood up and flung her chair across the room, almost hitting Clark in the face. As she flew out into the hall, it was just Martian Manhunter and Superman. You should talk to him, Superman. John's calm voice was a nice break from all the shouting still ringing through Clark's ears. Huh? Let's just say, I may or may not have read his mind, you need to talk to him. Clark was ready to reply, but John just swiftly ghosted through the floor, not giving Clark the chance. I care about Clark more than any of you, was the constant phrase rushing through Clark's mind.